just over 4 hours and, what's that, 37 minutes left for political parties to submit their lists of candidates for the local elections. The Electoral Commission has extended the deadline from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. tonight. It seems not all of the parties have handed in their lists yet. Wayne Sussman is an independent elections analyst. Wayne, good afternoon to you. I've been scratching my head today. I can't remember this happening before, where the deadline for parties to submit their candidates is extended. Can you remember it happening?
Stephen, I have to agree with you. I have no recollection of an extension of a deadline like this. And of course, there could be ramifications for parties who have submitted their lists early. There is the opportunity, possibly, of candidates who might, being offered a more attractive position at the 11th hour, switching across. So it is quite extraordinary to see a 4-hour extension. Some parties might not see it as free and fair.
I mean, certain things happened during this time. I mean, if I remember, I think it was the NFP that ended up, the National Freedom Party, not being able to run in many municipalities because it didn't make its payments in time. And I think there was certainly, what's the phrase, skullduggery there.
That's correct. In the 2016 local government elections, the National Freedom Party was only on one ballot paper in one municipality in the country. I think it was in Kutu in KwaZulu-Natal. So the IEC were very strict in enforcing the deadlines then. We also know of examples of Nelson Mandela Bay, where there was one particular ward where the African National Congress were heavily favored to win. They didn't submit the correct paperwork in time, didn't field a ward candidate, and the EFF ended up winning that ward. So these deadlines and these requirements to pay deposits on time are very important for the running of a free and fair elections.
So the parties have loads of time to get this right, and they all have the same amount of time. It's not like, you know, one party gets this much time and this party gets that much time. It's the same deadline for everyone. Why are there so many problems? It would seem to suggest to me that there's, well, contestation in political parties.
There's definitely strong contestation in political parties. I was looking at the results of the 2016 elections yesterday evening, and the ANC, the DA, the EFF, and the IFP won the overwhelming amount of votes. Obviously, the ANC by far the largest. And in fifth place in the last elections were independent candidates who won just over 1% of the total vote. I think this election in 2021 will see more contestation. You will see more parties threatening those bigger four parties this time around. And again, just in relating to your specific question, I do think that there is opportunity for, at the 11th hour, to poach people across. We've seen this before. I think it was Dennis Bloom, the National COPE spokesperson, and that was a national and provincial election. His name ended up on both the ANC and the COPE lists a few elections ago. I think it was 2009. And will we see this when the list gets submitted? We know that there is a 3 weeks between, or about 2 weeks, between the handing in of the lists and the certification of the candidates. Are we going to see many names on multiple party lists?
And I mean, there's certain parties where you can see this happen. I mean, I don't think many people go from the ANC to COPE or back again nowadays. I'd imagine parties that might see people sort of moving sides. IFP and NFP, perhaps. Maybe one or two people. Could there be a bit of movement, perhaps, between the Freedom Front Plus and the DA? I realize as I'm talking to you how political all the comments I'm making are.
Look, I think the NFP are in a very tough position right now. They do have strong pockets of support still, Stephen. Idumbi in Paul Petersburg, near the Mpumalanga border in far northern KwaZulu-Natal, that's an area where you wouldn't expect NFP members to move across to the IFP. But there will certainly be a lot of jostling of positions. We know that the Patriotic Alliance attracted to a few City of Johannesburg councillors from the DA who had strong standing in their community. So it is likely when incumbent candidates are too low on a list or unlikely to retain their ward, they might consider more attractive positions from other political parties.
So all of this, what we're seeing right now, the extension from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock, the stuff that's going on in the background, their general secretaries and secretaries general and provincial secretaries and all sorts of people sort of trying to sort out last-minute arguments and sort out their list and get it on time and make sure the money's all in the right place. If the election is postponed, we could do this all again in a couple of months.
That's correct, and that's why this is a significant day. Excuse the sports analogy, but I'm never going to predict the winner of a World Cup or a league until I've seen the squads. Today, the squads get announced for the 2021 local government elections. The council lists get handed in. I do think, Stephen, particularly when it comes to mayoral candidates, that it's unlikely that we're going to see a deviation from that plan. So good, we're out of the starting blocks first yesterday, announcing their mayoral candidate for Cape Town. The DA announced some of their mayoral candidates today. I think it's unlikely that those mayoral candidates would change, and that I think parties are coming to the realization the court has reserved judgment right now. But the more the clock ticks and the closer we get to late October 2021, the more likely it is that the election takes place this year rather than February 2022 or beyond that.
One of the things that's changed in our politics is 10 years ago, the ANC could say, we're not going to tell you who our mayoral candidate is. It actually wouldn't say. You had to sort of guess, and you could vote without knowing. Now, sometimes, it'll sort of tell you. If I remember in 2016, they said, look, it'll be Parks Tau. So what you started to see is a sort of change in the way that our politics is working. The ANC has felt, and hasn't done this yet, but it could still decide it has to tell us in advance who its mayoral candidates are actually going to be.
I think that is how a lot of elections work across the world. It's very, very important for people not only to know who their ward council candidate's going to be, but also their mayoral candidate. The mayor can have a big impact on the future direction of the town or city you live in South Africa, and I think that the ANC will ultimately announce their mayoral candidates. Stephen, just on that, a fascinating number. Obviously, trends suggest that participation in our national and provincial elections have gone down since 2009. We know that only 66% of South Africans showed up in 2019. The participation in local government elections has gone up between 2000 and 2016. There was a 10 percentage point jump between 2006 and 2011. And so it tells me that South Africans are taking local government elections more seriously, and that they want to know who their mayoral candidate is going to be, because that might influence how they vote and who they vote for.
Wayne Sussman, thanks very much indeed, Independent Elections Analyst. Really appreciate the time.